What I have to share with you today is not a simple bite-sized piece of information. I'll try to break it down into bullet points for you, but kind of settle in, prepare to learn a little something. Hi, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, which is premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. Recently, I was watching streaming a series about a very clever lawyer, and at the last moment when you thought he was going to lose and he was backed into a corner and there was no way he could get out of it, he would bring out some brilliant little strategy or obscure law that nobody really had remembered and find his way to victory. I really admired this in a character and thought how great it would be in real life to be that good, that proficient at what you do. The problem in real life for most of us is that if we're working in this industry, and that's private investigations, process serving, loss prevention, oh my brothers and sisters in the security world, if you're working in this industry, being clever is very nice, and that might win the day for you, and honestly it probably will win the day for you 99 out of 100 times. But we're in an industry where the bad guys frequently will start with the willingness to do violence, and if it's not the number one method for them to get their way, it's certainly not something that they've ruled out, and it's really high up in their backup plan. If you have a shoplifter, maybe their initial plan is to be sneaky and just try to sneak something out of the store, but their backup plan is going to be to run or to fight. If they run and get caught, they're going to fight. So violence in our industry is kind of the default, and in many cases, like a robbery, it's the starting point for where things happen, and that changes the dynamic a little bit. So if you're a first defender, and this is different than first responders. First responders are those men and women who come to our help when we dial 911, the fire, the EMS, the police officers. They are the first ones to respond to something, and they are the first responders. We, in our industry, are frequently the first defenders. We are already on the scene, and we're the first people that have to defend the victims that are around us, the property that we're guarding, that type of thing. So as a first defender, I want to give you 4 things that can help you in this industry where violence really happens kind of quickly and suddenly sometimes. My number 1 tip for you is have a plan. You need to be thinking about what could go wrong where you're working. So that means if you're working security, think about where are the bad guys most likely to come in? Where is another way that they might slip in? Where's the nearest exit? Where's your backup exit if that first way is blocked? Where's the nearest fire extinguisher? How are you going to sound the alarm if there's a problem? All of these things fall into that idea of having a plan, because when the bad guys come in and you have a plan, that can make all the difference in the world. Number 2, in this world that we work in where violence is the default or very close to the first decision a bad guy's going to make, is sounding the alarm. How are you going to sound the alarm? Is there a pull switch that you have to work? Can you get to it? Have you worked it before? Do you know how it works? Is there a duress button? Can you reach it? Do you trust it? Do you know what's going to happen when you press that duress button? Do you have phone numbers that you need in a hurry memorized, or are you relying on speed dial? Are you wearing your walkie-talkie? Do you have the microphone in a spot you can get a hold of it? All of these things fall into the category of sounding the alarm, and it's a huge reason you're there. Think about the security guards you've seen in your life. Sometimes you'll walk into a place and it'll be a really old person, and you'll think, what in the world could they possibly do if something went wrong? Likewise, it's very impressive if you walk into some place and the security guard looks like a linebacker, big and strong and able to handle anything that comes along. But that little old lady or little old man who's working as a security guard can be more valuable, and that's if they know how to sound the alarm. That's why we in the security industry are so valuable, because we have a brain. We can look, observe, evaluate, and take action, and if nothing else, just sounding the alarm, getting the alert out that something's wrong is extremely valuable. And that may not be full-on calling 911. That may not be pulling an alarm or pressing the duress button at your watch post. Sometimes sounding the alarm is more of like giving a heads up. calling your supervisor and saying, hey, we just had a guy walk in, keep an eye on me for a minute. Or, hey, there's somebody outside our building, I see him on cameras. Do we have somebody who can go take a look and touch base with this guy? Or just keep an eye on him. See, that all falls into that category of sounding the alarm, and it is why you are so valuable and a huge reason why you're there. A third thing in this world that we work in where violence is sometimes the default, well, let's face it, being fit is a benefit. If it's at all possible for you, being able to, on very rare occasions, be the person who steps between the bad guy and the victim, that can be very helpful to the victim. There's a lot of people out there that are very appreciative that there was a private security person there to help them. Being fit and strong and being able to handle yourself, not really an option for everybody. Maybe you're getting older, maybe you have some injuries. This is just something that's not going to be there for everyone, as nice as it would be to have, but that leads me right around to point number 4, which makes up for that maybe lack of fitness. Point number 4, in this world where violence from the bad guys is sometimes the default action or the first line of action for a bad guy, is for you to be vigilant, to have your heads up, to be looking around. Look, you can have that big burly linebacker guy as a security guard, or you can have the little old lady with bad knees who really has to take the elevator because she can't even climb the stairs. If the big burly linebacker is watching a movie on his cell phone, and the little old lady has her head up and is looking around at who's coming and going from the building, I want the little old lady every day of the week, and that linebacker can find another job. Here's what happens in the real world. Something bad happens, and people say to themselves, if I could go back and do it over again, if I just had more time. Or you'll hear this classic one all the time when violence is used, he just came out of nowhere. Sure, the bad guys want to just come out of nowhere. They want to sneak up on you, get you from behind or when you're not paying attention. But the reality is, how many times do you see a guard looking at their cell phone or playing on a computer when they should be paying attention? Here is your chance to be able to go back in time. This is the only way it works. Distance and time, that's where you've got your advantage. If as a first offender, you're sitting there on your cell phone watching a movie or playing a game and you look up and the bad guy's right in front of you, you have no time to react. Game over. Imagine the other scenario though, where you've got a camera that you can see outside the building, you can see people walking up. Now you can see this person outside and you can say, something's not right here. Maybe you just get on the phone with your supervisor and say, hey, I got somebody out front, they look like they're coming in, just to keep an eye on me on cameras for a minute. And you have bought yourself a lot of time to prepare. You've now got somebody else involved. You're not really in it alone anymore. Maybe you don't have that very valuable outside camera where you can see people coming, and all you've got is when the door opens 20 or 30 feet away from you and people come into the building. Seeing a bad guy come in and be 20 feet away from you, that buys you time as well. Again, if you're looking down at your computer or you're playing on your cell phone, you look up, the bad guy's right at your desk, you have no time to react. If you see them coming in the front door, you have 2 or 3 seconds, sometimes more, and in our world, that can make a real difference. So be like the lawyer in that streaming television series, smart and clever. Know your resources, know what you have to work with, including these 4 tips that I've taught you here today, so that you're better prepared to do your job. If you'd like 3 more interesting tips related to our industry, I have a special report called If You Want to Be a Private Investigator, Give Up, Unless You Do These 3 Things. And I teach 3 more things that within our industry you may find very interesting and helpful. Please go over to shadowanyone.com. You can pick that up with your name and email address right on the home page of shadowanyone.com. This is Larry Kaye. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.